Good morning, everybody. Welcome on board November 2629 Juliet. It's our Cessna 150. It's a 1966 model, Cessna 150G. Great little airplane. I just love the Cessna 150s. Great trainers. This airplane you've seen in some other videos that I've done with my daughter, Alyssa, my daughter, Reagan, and probably my son you've seen as well, JJ, fly the airplane. JJ is a sophomore at Penn State Aerospace Engineering, and he is a private pilot. Got his license when he was 17. He flies this airplane a good bit, but it's a great trainer for them. It's a great trainer across the board for everybody. I actually did my primary instruction in a Piper Tomahawk here at New Garden Flying Field. Another great airplane. I really like the Tomahawks. They've got kind of a nickname, Traumahawk, for no real good reason. It's a great trainer. This aircraft is very well equipped. I set it up as a Garmin demo platform for customers. We're a Garmin dealer here at New Garden Flying Field, and this is a airplane people can come out and check out the equipment. It does have a GTN 650 XI in the panel and two G5s. So it's a great setup if you're learning to fly, not just your primary instruction, but also instrument training. It's a good setup to keep proficient. So we're going to go up this morning for a nice sunrise flight. Sun's starting to peek up over the horizon. All right, so we've got plenty of fuel today. For starters, we're going to do a mag check. I'm just going to increase the RPM to about 1700. Now, this aircraft is equipped also with a SureFly electronic ignition on the left side, and I've been very happy with that SureFly. There's 1, 2, 1, 2. RPM drops normal. Carb heat check. See a decrease in RPM. Anybody know why we get a decrease in RPM when we check the carb heat? You should. All you private pilot students out there, go ahead and comment below why we get a decrease in RPM. All right, carb heat checks nicely. I'm also going to do a ground check on the P lead, so I'm going to throttle all the way back. For starters, I'm going to check out what my idle is. Idle's good, and then I'm going to go 3 left. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Engine should start to die with the mag switch in the off position, and it does. So that tells me that the magnetos are properly grounded and a P lead is not broken. If a P lead was broken, if I went to the off position, do you know what would happen? The engine would not die. It would keep running. And it's important to know that, and it's important to check that, because the last thing you want to do is have you or one of your maintainers move the prop when the engine is presumably off on the ground and one of the mags is not properly grounded. It could start. So certainly a dangerous situation. So check that in your run-up. Okay, primer's in and locked. Carb heat is off. Carb heat check fine. Temperature's starting to come up. It's actually pretty good right now. Flaps, we're going to exercise and set. Both are coming down at the same rate. And both are coming up at the same rate. Controls free and proper. Right aileron, left aileron. Pull back, pull forward. For your new students out there, how do you remember what aileron goes up and which one goes down? Here's a little trick. Your left hand on the yoke like you're flying. Right hand's for throttle and mixture, right? So it's just left hand on. Stick your thumb up in the air. Give it a thumbs up. You're going to roll the yoke to the right. Your right aileron out there should be moving up, which means that the thumb points to the up aileron. The other aileron moves down. If you roll the controls all the way to the left now with your thumb still up in the air, your thumb points to the aileron that moves up, and the other one obviously goes down. So that's a good way to check when you're first starting out. It's a good way to remember which aileron moves up, which one goes down. Obviously, pull back, the elevator goes up, push down, it should go down. Everything is free and proper, and it's not binding anywhere. All right, we're going to take it out on the center line of the runway. We're going to advance the throttle to full throttle. We're going to rotate around 55, 60, climb out at 70, 75 in this airplane. If we have an anomaly on the ground, throttle comes back, we're going to brake straight ahead, stay on the ground, stay on the runway. If we get in the air, we're pitching for, if we have an issue, we're pitching for best glide, and this airplane it is 70, and we're going to land straight ahead. We're not going to have enough altitude really to turn back to the runway in this airplane at all on climb out, so we're going to be landing straight ahead in the clearest, softest spot that we can find. All right, everything's set. I'm going to give the mic 7 clicks because I'm also going to use this opportunity as a runway light check, make sure everything's coming on properly. So that's 3. Lights should come on to low intensity. I'm going to give it 7 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there they are. And New Garden traffic, Cessna 150, 2629er Julie. It's going to be departing 24, New Garden.
Approaching runway 24.
We don't have an ATIS at the airport yet, so we set our altitude to field elevation, which is about 436 feet. I see number 24 out in front of me. I see number 24 on the HSI, on the G5, so that lines up good. All right. Everybody ready? Okay, here we go. Let's go watch the sun rise. Runway looks clear. I'm going to advance the throttle nice and smoothly. You don't want to jab it forward. You want to give that engine a chance to increase its RPM smoothly. Again, the runway still looks good. Watching out for deer, especially this time of year. Staying right on that center line. Airspeed is 50. There's 55. Bringing that nose up, and I'm just going to let the airplane fly itself off. All right, it's airborne right now. Keeping everything right over that center line. And then pitching for my VY right about 70, 75. And everything looks good. Up and away we go. Also, I'm keeping my ball coordinated, keeping the aircraft coordinated. Want that tail to stay right behind the nose. Do a good demonstration here. If that ball goes over to the one side, like there, you want to step on it with the rudder. So if it's over to the left, you want to step on it with your left rudder to get it right back in the center. If it goes over to the right, you're going to step on it with your right foot. So always step on the ball to keep everything nice and centered. Right there, and that keeps the airplane nice and coordinated. Whenever you have a high angle of attack, that is when the aircraft is going up with a high power setting. The airplane has a tendency to want to yaw to the left, so you're going to use a little bit of right rudder. And it is a beautiful morning. New Garden traffic, Cessna 150 is right turnout to the northwest. Last call, New Garden. Let's talk about the Cessna 150. The Cessna 150 is a 2-seat trainer. Has a Continental 4-cylinder engine. It's an O200. Produces 100 horsepower. Fuel burn is wonderful. It's like 5 gallons an hour, more or less sips fuel compared to everything else I fly. So we're going to climb to 2,000 feet today. I'm actually just going to put the moon right off of my nose. Actually, it's in behind a couple clouds out there, but it's a heading of 300. And as I tell Alyssa and during the training, I said, when you're up here, always be hard on yourself flying the aircraft, maintaining your heading, maintaining your altitude. For your private pilot training, we strive to maintain your altitude plus or minus 100 feet, your heading plus or minus 10 degrees. But when you're up here doing some solo work or flying around, always try to maintain that altitude. Give yourself, plus or minus 50 feet. Make it a little harder. Put it at, ATP standards. So here's 2,000 feet. I'm going to level the aircraft off, get everything trimmed up in a minute once I get the throttle back, but I'm going to let the airspeed build up. If I pulled my throttle back a little bit too soon, the airplane just never really gets up on plane and takes forever to build up airspeed. So 2,000 feet, I'm going to pull the throttle back to about somewhere between 2350, 2400 RPM, just putting around here this morning, and then I'll run my trim. Always remember to trim the aircraft. You should be able to let control of the airplane, and the airplane stay exactly where you put it. 300 on the heading, which is a west-northwest heading. I'm going to roll to the left I'm going to go to a heading of 180. The other thing I like to preach, if you have an HSI or G5 in this case, and a heading bug, utilize that heading bug as a tool, right? So if you get a new heading, always use that heading bug to put it on that heading and then go ahead and roll to your turn. And this will come into play later on when you start to fly an aircraft with an autopilot, because you always want to marry up that heading bug with the direction that you're going. In case you want to click that autopilot on in heading mode, it doesn't start to do its own thing and go to the heading that's behind you, because that's where you have your heading bug set. All right, there's a heading of 180. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just doing a couple clearing turns. Don't forget about your clearing turns when you're, whenever you get up here and you want to do some maneuvers, run through some clearing turns. All right. Comment below if you understand what a clearing turn is and how to perform one. All right, back to my heading at 300. Everything looks clear. All right, so the first thing we're going to do this morning after this clearing turn is we're going to run through some slow flight. What is slow flight? I ask all my students to tell me in their own terms the definition of slow flight. And they kind of hem and haw a little bit, especially the new students, to try to give you a textbook definition, but put it in your own terms. Slow flight is flying the airplane slow. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, if I cruise at 100 and if I fly slower than cruise, then effectively I'm flying the airplane in slow flight. Well, that is arguably true. Whenever you fly the airplane slower than cruise, you are indeed performing slow flight. So that said, when we practice slow flight during your private pilot training, we practice slow flight at what we call minimum controllable airspeed. That's where any decrease in RPM or increase in back pressure, the airplane will stall. All right, so that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to fly this airplane. We're going to start at 60 and fly the airplane. So the first thing I'm going to do is note my altitude, make sure my heading bug is on the heading that I want to maintain. In this case, it's 2,000 feet, heading's 120. First thing I'm going to do is pull the carb heat on for about 10 seconds. Make sure that carburetor is not going to ice up and make sure that that warm air has a chance to get into the carburetor. And then I'm going to reduce the throttle to about 1,700 RPM. And what's going to happen here is the airplane is going to want to try to descend, but I don't want it to descend. I want to maintain my altitude, so I'm going to increase my back pressure. I'm also going to put down about 20 degrees of flaps. That's going to give us a little bit of lift, also going to give us a little bit of drag. There's 60. Once the airplane gets to 60, I'm going to advance the throttle to stop the needles from descending, to stop the altitude from descending, and also to stop the airspeed from getting too slow. We're trading airspeed for altitude here, meaning that we're getting rid of our airspeed to maintain the altitude. That's going to allow the airplane to slow up. Once the airplane slows up, we have to maintain that airspeed and maintain that altitude by our throttle and our pitch. So our left hand is going to be controlling our pitch, obviously, on the elevator. Our left hand is going to be controlling the airspeed once we get things stabilized. The right hand is going to be controlling the altitude. So there's a saying that we use. It says pitch for airspeed, power for altitude. We're using our left hand, our pitch control, to maintain our airspeed. So if I'm slow, like I am here, I'm going to push down. See the airspeed increase? If I'm fast, then I pull up. But look at my altitude. My altitude's a little high, so I'm going to reduce my throttle with my right hand. And that's going to allow us to descend. And you have to work simultaneously with both controls. So if you make an adjustment with your right hand for the altitude, more than likely you're going to make an adjustment with your left hand for the pitch. And what I tell everybody, it's a lot like patting your head and rubbing your stomach at first. You've got to get that muscle memory down, and you do that by practice. And we practice this for several reasons. It gives us a feel for how this airplane flies when it gets slower. It also gives us some practice for what we're going to be doing in the pattern when we get down to final approach. When we get down into final approach, we're pitching for airspeed, powering for altitude, using our altitude to control, or using our throttle to control our altitude to descend down to the runway, and our pitch to control that airspeed as we're coming in on final. All right, I'm going to make a left turn here in slow flight. I'm going to head out to the north. So again, my heading bug rolls to a heading of 360. I'm looking left to clear. I'm looking right, it's clear. We're going to turn left. Whenever you bank an airplane in slow flight, you want to bank just to about a half a standard rate turn. And the reason being is you're already slow, and when you bank an aircraft, your stall speed increases. All right, so we don't want to get in a situation where we could stall the aircraft. So we just want to do a nice gentle left or right turn, and kind of like we're just slipping across the sky. It's like there's no really banking sensation, but the airplane is turning about a half a standard rate bank. All right, I'm at 2,040, so I'm going to reduce my throttle a little bit. My airspeed's right on 60, and I'm at heading 050, still turning to the heading of north. All right, here comes my heading, and I'm going to roll out. Airspeed is a little fast, so I'm pitching for airspeed. A little bit of decrease in the RPM because I'm still a little high. It's a quick demonstration of slow flight at minimum controlled airspeed. So what is slow flight? Slow flight is flying the airplane slower than cruise, and it's we practice it at minimum controllable airspeed, where any increase in back pressure, decrease in RPM, the airplane's going to stall because it's going to lose its lift. And we're going to demonstrate that now. So we've got our altitude set, we've got our airspeed set. All I'm going to do here is pull the throttle back. I'm going to try to maintain my altitude. The airspeed's going to go away. The airplane's going to stall. We're going to feel a buffet. We're going to hear a stall horn first. We're going to feel a buffet. And then once we feel that buffet, the airplane's probably going to descend. I'm going to see an altitude loss, and that is a stalled condition. Now, when we recover, what we're going to do is we're going to pitch the nose down just a little bit to get that air flowing over the wings, and I'm going to give it full throttle. We can recover from a stall without giving it throttle, just by pushing that nose down and getting that air to flow over the wings. What throttle does is aid in our ability to recover from a stall without losing a lot of altitude. Here we go. We're going to throttle out. Throttle's all the way out at this point. My carb heat is on still. I'm just going to maintain some back pressure here. Notice my airspeed is just going away. I'm keeping that ball centered, which is key. There's the stall warning horn, and here comes the stall. Here's the buffet.
Skyhawk 1453.
Okay, there's the buffet. And look, there's the stall. I'm not going to recover with throttle at this point. Got airspeed, stall warning horn's gone. I'm going to do it again. This time I'm going to recover with throttle. There's the buffet, and there's the brake, and there's the throttle right below the horizon. Carb heat is off at this point. I'm right on my heading. Going back up, I'm starting to see a positive rate of climb, so the flaps can come off, and I'm pitching for my VY at 70 miles an hour, back up to my altitude at 2,000 feet. So there's 70. I'm going to hold VY all the way back up. Verify carb heat's off, and I've got full throttle. I'm right on my heading to north, and then I'm going to level out at 2,000 feet. So that is a stall, a power-off stall that we performed from slow flight. We're going to do that again just from cruise once I get back up to my altitude. And I'm going to roll left to clear the area to a heading of 270. I'm going to pick that left wing up, make sure there's no airplanes out there. And then I'm going to turn left. Clear left, and here we go. And then once you get back to cruise, you're going to have to re-trim the airplane. Going to a heading of 270. Cessna 150 is a very docile airplane, very docile stall. As you can see there, it didn't really have a tendency to drop a wing. All right, I'm back to my cruise setting on a heading of 270, 2,000 feet. Doing about 91 indicated right now. So we're going to do the same thing, power off stall from cruise this time. Area's clear, we verified that. And I'm on a heading of 270, starting the maneuver at 2,000 feet. Carb heat's on. Throttle's coming back to 1,700 RPM, somewhere between 15 and 17. The more you pull the throttle back, the faster the airplane's going to slow up. We're verified we're inside the white arc. That's safe flap speed, 20 degrees of flaps, fingertips on the controls. You don't need to squeeze the controls to death, just real easy. Throttle goes to idle, holding my altitude. Ball's centered. Remember, step on the ball if it goes to one side or the other. It's right in the center right now. There's the stall warning horn. Here's the brake. There's the throttle. Don't let the airplane pop back up when you put the throttle back in, but just casually bring it back to VY. In this case, it's 70. And then slowly bring those flaps up after you get a positive rate of climb. You're on your heading, ball's centered, and flaps are coming up. Climbing back to 2,000 feet. Letting the airspeed pick back up before I pull the throttle all the way back to cruise. Good cruise throttle setting. Do you remember what that is? 2350 to 2400 in this airplane. All right. All right, another clearing turn. We're going to go towards the bay right now, heading of 180. 180 is a southerly due south heading. All right, so a little tip there on the power off stall. Here comes the sun. That's a beautiful sunrise. Perfect way to start the day. All right, so now another private pilot maneuver that you need to learn and perfect is a steep turn. So steep turns are 45 degrees of bank, and the goal is to maintain altitude and roll out on your heading plus or minus 10 degrees. Our heading is to the south. We determine the area is clear. The way that I teach steep turns is the first thing we're going to do is we got the airplane trimmed up. That's very critical, is get the aircraft trimmed, hands off flying. Everything looks good. We're on a heading to south. We're going to go all the way around to a heading to south. So first things first, you set your throttle to a good cruise throttle setting, and then I'm going to roll right to a 45-degree bank. When I get there, I'm going to give it a little bit of back pressure. The reason you give it a little bit of back pressure is because you have to compensate for the decrease in vertical lift. When you turn an airplane, some of that vertical lift shoots over to the left into horizontal lift. When you go get all that horizontal lift, the airplane's going to want to descend. So once you set it with the instrument, look out in front of you. Look at the angle that the nose and the horizon make. That's your 45-degree bank angle. That's what it looks like. Take half of that 45 degree. You get 22 degrees before your desired heading, and you want to start rolling out. If you start rolling out at 22 degrees before your desired heading, you're going to land right on your heading. And then, of course, as you roll out of that 45-degree bank, you have to get rid of that back pressure that you put in. If not, you're going to shoot up on your altitude as you roll out. All right, we'll do the same thing to the right. Area to the right is clear. We got the sun behind me and a full moon in front of me. What a gorgeous morning to fly. Now, if you forget what heading you were on, obviously we're on south. That's why your heading bug comes into play again. So you can use that as a guide. Here it comes, and you're going to start rolling out. There's your heading and altitude. All right, so we check left. We're clear left. We're going to roll 45 degrees. A little bit of back pressure. Maintain that altitude. You need to feed in a little bit of throttle. That way your airspeed stays fairly close to what it was, plus or minus about 5 miles an hour. 22 degrees, going to start rolling out. Now, if you see yourself losing a little bit of altitude like that in the rollout, just don't get rid of as much back pressure. But you can see I was a little slow on getting rid of it there, and I popped up about 20 feet. Again, with the tapes on the G5, very sensitive. The steam altimeter barely moved. All right, well, there you have it. A quick sunrise flight, couple maneuvers to work on. Again, if you are a private pilot or any type of pilot for that matter, you should still come out and practice these maneuvers. Stay proficient, burn the rust off. Plus, it's just good to keep that mind working, stay in practice, especially when it comes to flight review time. Your instructors will certainly appreciate that. So we're going to go enjoy the rest of the sunrise here and take the airplane back, and time to go to work. Man, what a gorgeous morning. Best way to wake up. Better than a cup of coffee. Left the coffee back in the hangar. Indigar traffic, Cessna 2629er Juliet, it's 2.5 miles southwest of the field. We'll be setting up on a 45-degree entry to the downwind for 24 Indigar. Aircraft starting up down there. Joe Novotny in his air coupe going out for a morning flight. All right, midfield downwind, I'm going to go carb heat on. I'm going to do my pre-landing check. All right, my gas is good. Undercarriage is bolted in this airplane. Mixture's full rich. There is no fuel pump to worry about. And my landing light is on. I beam the numbers. I'm going to throttle back to about 1700, somewhere in there. Again, I'm trading airspeed to maintain my altitude at this point. That's going to allow me to slow up inside the white arc, where I can go ahead and lower 20 degrees of flaps. And then I'm pitching for 70. There's 70. Area's clear left. I don't see any aircraft coming in final. Quick look at my ADSB. I don't see any airplanes on the map. Newgarden traffic. Cessna 2629er Juliet's turning base for 24 Newgarden. All right, looking at that runway as a guide. And I'm saying to myself, okay, am I high or low at this point? If I'm low, then I want to add throttle. If I'm high, I can either reduce my throttle or add some additional flaps. I'm at 20 degrees of flaps. I'm going to land with 30 degrees of flaps. So I'm flying perpendicular again to the runway. Final is indeed clear. My left hand is on the yoke to maintain my airspeed, just like in slow flight. All right, I'm at 70. That's I'm pitching to maintain 70. I'm powering for altitude. So just like what we practice in slow flight, pitching for airspeed, powering for altitude. This time my right hand is controlling the throttle, which is going to allow me to pull the throttle back a little bit to descend down to the ground for landing. Just going to maintain about 65 to 70. Another 10 degrees of flaps coming on at this point, 30 degrees. Now I have another 10 degrees of flaps in this airplane if I need it. So I can go to 40. Normal landings, I'll just maintain about 30 degrees of flaps. Airspeed is 68 at this point, which is perfect. I'm using my ailerons to keep the airplane over top of the center line. As I get closer to the ground, I'm going to use my rudder to keep the longitudinal axes. That's if you draw a line from the nose all the way to the tail of the aircraft. Keeping that longitudinal axes in line with that center line is what the rudders are for. The ailerons are controlling the drift. Rudder keeps the airplane straight. Airspeed's good. I'm slowing up to about 65. Throttle's going to start to come out here. Doing my darndest to stay right over top of that center line. Throttle comes out, runway's made, and I'm just going to ease the airplane down and bring that nose up into the flare, hold it off, let the wheels touch. Okay, and then I'm going to steer with my feet, keeping that nose off the ground as long as it can, and then the nose comes down by itself. And we're going to make taxiway Charlie here. All parts of the aircraft are clear. Newgarden traffic, Cessna 150 is down and clear at 24. All right. Then we can grab the checklist.
Morning,
hey, Joe. Good morning. It's beautiful up there.
Great.
Have a great flight.
Thank you.
All right. So after landing, Ground monitor, we're on 123.05 Unicom. We don't have a ground frequency. Throttle is 800 to 1,000. Carburetor heat is cold. Flaps identified coming up. And lights as required. So I don't need my landing light. It's bright enough out there now to see where my taxi light that is, so I can turn that off. And I don't have any strobes to turn off, so I'll just taxi on back. What a great way to start the morning. I hope each and every one of you have a great day. Thanks for riding along, and I hope you enjoy the flight. Take care.